going to actually measure some cylinder bores to see if the blocks are within spec and able to be reused with just new rings, OEM pistons, etc., etc. We're going to check for thrust wear, check for out around, and do a couple other things. He said he got the crank back from the machine shop, so we'll check that out. Hopefully it has measurements and stuff that comes with it and make our lives a little bit easier. Not that we won't recheck or anything. We don't have bearings yet, so we're not checking bearing clearances or anything like that. We're just checking the cylinders themselves to see which block we can take and then send it off to the machine shop, get cleaned up, and then we can start with a fresh, clean slate and just have a nice, refreshed, brand new motor. Got us some bore gauges, micrometers. I know we don't need them all, but can't remember which is which. Pretty sure we need this and this. Well, we had an unfortunate turn of events. I found out that the pistons on these are quite larger than a VG, so my micrometer is slightly too small to zero the bore gauge so we can measure these accurately. So I'm going to order up some 3 to 4 inch, since that's really all that's missing in the collection, and we'll come back and check that over. But for now, we're going to go ahead and just disassemble everything so we can get everything cleaned up and really just look nice and turn around on this whole VR4 refresh rebuild. Really right now, just taking whatever documentation you can of how to put this together. I guess I understand all the confused VG guys go on twin turbo and they've never even worked on their NA. Because holy crap, this is something else.
So you want to just take the whole manifold off at once? Or
we can likely leave the manifold on, but try to pull the turbo off, as it's like the big bulk of everything.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, I would personally just pull the manifolds off, replace gaskets just while you're there, especially if they're original. And I don't know, they might need them to be off if they're getting decked. They probably don't need it actually if there was nothing wrong with it. We're going to start pulling the heat shield from the turbos so we can remove the turbos, get a little bit of access to some other stuff so we can actually pull the head off reasonably. If not, there's going to be all kinds of excess junk hanging off of it, and it'll be kind of awkward to store, let alone if we need to get it resurfaced. I don't think we will, since there was nothing wrong with this in that regard to begin with. We'll definitely get a straight edge feeler gauge to test that out. We should probably just break it down so we have it apart.
Okay.
Because if not, if you have that turbo off and try taking them bolts or nuts off, because if the turbos are bad and you need that inlet pipe or the down pipe, you'll have to remove it. Did you hit this side already?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, these things are going to be just sketchy cranking on it with this big old breaker bar and it ain't budging. Pesky cool line connections. They definitely didn't have the guy in mind replacing them when they put these on. They wouldn't have put them on backwards. Oh, that was much nicer.
Shield off. I guess I'll have to do that.
Looks like we actually have to take this EGR off because it blocks the up or down pipe bolt right there. No way to get into it. No, I wasn't recording. Yeah, we had an unfortunate situation there. It literally caught on like the last thread on the way out. I have no idea how that happened. Oh, it actually looks like the heat shield's bolted to the down pipe. Yeah, it is in 2 separate places. I unbolted one thinking it would be good. Let's give her a little more blaster. Holy cow, these cats are heavy. Down pipes, I should say.
Oh.
It literally just binded like it caught a little bit of rust and snapped off.
Huh.
I'm trying to keep this one from doing that. Now I really don't know what's going on. This thing, I feel like it's threaded out twice as much as any of the other ones, but it's not going anywhere. Got me feeling really sketch. Last thing I want to do is break 2. 1's bad enough. Here we go. Was all that work worth it? Yeah. Downpipe, pre-cat, successfully removed. I think we may just pull this throttle body off. Got 2 coolant lines coming from the water neck.
Yeah.
So other than that, it's pretty simple to remember. It's weird these have to come off for the intake to come off reasonably.
Somebody just did a cheap patch on it. Put the flare.
Now we've let some PB Blaster soak on the exhaust manifold studs. I think we're good to go ahead and crack her loose and finally remove this turbo. Time has finally come to remove, hopefully. Wow, that is quite the exhaust port. Is that like 1.5 inches? Literally like a 2-inch exhaust. I think we're going to try to pull this bracket off, get our water neck off, because then I believe we'll be able to pull our lower intake, and that'll give us access to pull both the heads. But I think while we're here, we may just pull these off while we have something to torque against. If not, when they're off the car, it'll be an absolute pain in the butt. So I'm going to try to avoid that. I think we'll probably just pull the water pump now too while we're at it. And that'll pretty much expose about everything that we need.
Yeah.
I wasn't easy with that space.
I don't know why this one. I had those heads off in no time, but like this one, the gear's in the way.
The gears got to come off.
It looks like, I mean, I don't see any, unless we put a wrench in there, but I don't even know that you can even get one.
On top of the cam, they've got a spot that you hold a wrench. Especially if you got an impact, you just hold it there and zap it off.
Yeah,
there we go. Water neck's all loose. Now to figure out how to snake it out. What's it getting? Okay. If this little bracket needs to come out, I think it should. Oh yeah, that should be the PTU. Usually that's on the passenger side on a Z, up on the front behind your coolant pipes. Better placement than back here. In theory, that should be the last one. Nope. Looks like my eyeballs deceive me.
You want me to take this
Still
water
gotta pull
pump
that
off?
Are those 10s holding it in too? So looks like there's
possibly,
5 of them.
Yeah.
Do they need to come off?
Probably not.
Couldn't tell if these little 10mm bolts held the water pump together, because if you look back here, there's like a second housing that you would think that it seals this against or bolts it against, but evidently not. Upon removal, it appears we've had someone living here for quite some time. So apparently that inner piece of the water pump is O-ringed right here, and that's what holds it on. Yep. Eviction has been served, buddy. I hope you're not in here still. I've pulled too many dead critters out of the valley of V6s. Now that the evictions notice has been served, let's pull the fuel rail and get access to the lower intake. Just a couple 12mm bolts on both sides. And then we can actually pull the lower intake and then get a little bit more clear of a shot of cleaning out all of that valley. Just pulled the bucket up, scooped a little bit out, and made a huge difference. But yeah, there's still tons of grime left. Thinking that may be of what rusted this engine so badly. It's kind of odd for an engine to rust this much, especially when it was coated and everything, but maybe with all the moisture and just pee and stuff from this critter living in here, could have been enough to cause all this. This one's sturdy fuel rail. I like that solid rail idea. It's kind of nice. You don't have to worry about this thing leaking like you do on a Z. VG, I should say. And the intake should lift straight up off of the studs. Yeah, I have a feeling old boy is definitely still down here somewhere. Pull these little metal gaskets out. Not too concerned about really getting stuff in the intake here, because it's all going to get dumped and clean. Gee whiz. Now to clean some ex-apartment. The pipe in the middle has O-rings on both sides to fit into each water neck. And you actually bolt it down right back here that 12 mil bolt. That's what'll give you access to really pull the thing out. Because then once we get this off, we can pull that tube out and really just clean all the gunk out, since it's really just jammed beneath that coolant tube. Wow, that happened so fast. So fast. Am I soaked? Nope. It appears we are good. Rear water neck removed. Now the biggest rule when tearing all this kind of stuff down, if you're not labeling it and putting it all in bags, just put your hardware back where you're taking it from, and you'll never forget where it goes. Let's pull that 12 mil back off. Now we've got access to the tube. Yikes. The block is nearly stripped down all the way. I'm gonna wait to really just get all this. I'll bring my vacuum cleaner over here if need be. It might just be able. Okay. I guess we already got one. That'll be way easier to get that than to flathead it all out. But now, pull the valve cover and see what we're working with on the head bolts. Just kidding. Let's pull this off first. Exhaust manifold, just in case. In theory, this thing should be ready to come off. Probably a little seized. Needs a little bit of persuasion. 30 years since it came off.
Mine came right off.
Yes. There we go.
This was definitely a lot rustier than my side was.
Still can't get over the size of that inlet hole for your turbo. I guess that's the exit since it's exhaust. Doesn't look like there's anything else interfering as of now. That gasket's way nicer than my side. Peel it back. What is behind door number 2? Doesn't look bad. Smells good. Cams are like mirrors. Those lobes at least. Get with the crank until we're done. So we actually just noticed, I think this side will be good. We have to remove that 12 mil and that 12 mil so we can pull this backing plate off to really even separate the heads from themselves. With the combination of both of our might, we couldn't get this cam gear loose, but the impact does it in a half second. Work smarter, not harder. Now that the covers and the gears are off, let's go ahead and start cracking these down, loosening the head bolts. This side we already finished up, so we're going to pull that shortly, but let's loosen these ones first. Alright, I always start, I do a quarter turn first, go back, do a full turn, and then I just loosen them all the way up, so that way I lift the head off as evenly as possible. Really probably doesn't matter on removal, but in my small brain it does. Smooth brain, I should say. I like to do this by hand just so I can get a feel for it. So are we ready to pry that one off, or do these have like security 10 mil bolts holding it on the side?
I can't remember. I think I just pulled them off my hands.
Oh, it is ready? Yeah, it came right off.
Yeah.
This head's ready to go.
I didn't know if everybody did that or if that was
Yeah, it's kind of just the
just to
like
be family friendly.
Yeah, demonetization is the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
I'm 80 hours from being monetized, so
Yeah.
I'm really close. Haven't had to worry about that stuff yet, but just
Yeah.
for the
you
day,
don't
like
take
I don't.
the chance.
Yeah, I don't want them to strike me on something from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
MLS style gaskets everywhere else but the head gasket. That's so weird. I actually have a normal graphite gasket. I don't know if that's their way of hearing knock from both banks or what, but on a Z there's a little flat spot right there that it's just bolted to in the valve. Yeah, I guess we'll wait till we get this head off before we spin it over, but so far, yeah, that cross hatching in there looks phenomenal. Before we yank this head off, let's just go ahead and pull our bolts out and see what they're looking like.
Backfires constantly, and he'll just do that all the way down the street.
It's like he don't stay in it. He's doing it just for the backfire. I'm sure his ringlands love him. beat the crap out of the thing on a Z. Yeah, I got it. It don't even look like it's got dowels on it. Like it's got the dowels that go around the head bolt hole, but that's odd. Oh,
What?
I'm retarded. I've the whole time I was thinking there's a crank in here. And I'm looking at this. When we first pulled it off, I didn't think much of it. Both the pistons are up at top dead center.
Yeah.
And it should be one each side, but no,
Yeah.
we got 3 at top dead center over here. I was about to be like, whoa, this thing works way different than anything I know.
Are we okay to push them through?
Yeah. Let's lay them in order, I guess. Feeling anything with the fingernails, so that's good. Now, when you do pull your pistons and rods out, always be mindful of your rod so you don't just slap it on your cylinder wall when you're pulling it out to mitigate extra damage. Okay, that might be the oil squirter. Well, it looks like the oil squirter in here, instead of bolting down here, or at least in the middle of the cylinders, the oil squirter looks like it's coming out of the main. So I hope those aren't like different sizes, and that's what pertains between NA and TT. I would think they'd both spray in the exact same place, but then again, who knows? That's probably the same kind of idea as restrictors in your block here. Now we've got the block out here in the driveway. May just flip it over, start to blast all this crud out. But before it gets too dirty, let's check the crosshatch, or I should say the thrust wear. You can see the up and down marks slightly on each side. Those are totally fine as long as you measure it and it's not out of round and your fingernail doesn't catch it. Fingernail does not catch on any of these, so I believe we are all good. We will verify next week once we get our other micrometer in. So far, so good.
Nasty.
Yeah. Now let's go grab some rags so we can wipe this all down and get all that debris out. So that way we don't kind of just screw up everything that we just did, you know. The air blew all that crap all over me. Ugh. Oh, that wind makes it so nice.
These are better.
Yeah, these look really good. Because the crank's spinning, so it pushes the piston up and down, like sideways motion,
Yeah.
which is the thrust, so that's what wears that out. If you look on the skirt of your piston,
Yeah.
if that has the same kind of lines, you'll usually check those, make sure the piston's still in spec and that they're not able to be caught with your fingernail. Because when the ring's working right, it prevents the piston from touching the wall. But trying to wire brush this thing up and get it looking real nice and presentable. Now, since we blew all that out, night and day difference on the valley here between the cylinders. Wow. This side will clean up nicely with some brake cleaner. It's not nearly as hit as bad with the flaky rust as the other side. As he just blew all this out, made it nice and pretty, and now it's just chock full of rust again. I guess we need that to get out too. Go back, wipe the cylinders out one more time, just to get any final residual dirt, rust, shale out, whatever you want to call it. Now the block's all clean, let's move on and start inspecting our internals. Well, that's one way to know what rod or piston you got. That's cool. A little bit of skirt wear. Nothing that really catches my fingernail, but it does feel kind of coarse. This one we're pretty sure is bad because the piston pin does not move very freely on the rod, like it gets stuck. So that was probably an ongoing issue with this. Top side of the piston looks good. Yeah, this one's much better. Yeah, I think in reality the biggest thing here is if we reuse these is just that they go in the correct cylinder.
Yeah.
So that way the wall wear matches the piston. Yeah, we'll probably have to switch piston
mark 'em.
pins. Did you notice the difference in the pistons? So if you didn't know, twin turbo low compression pistons will be dished like this, and high compression NA will be domed like this. That's generally how you tell what kind of piston you have. I think we'll be all set. To disassemble these, soak them, and work off all of this carbon deposit, even in where the rings are at, so we can get a nice solid seal when we put new rings on. Well, now we're kind of thinking we're just going to go ahead, proceed with everything that we were planning to proceed with, put the pistons back in the block, just get new rings, new bearings, pretty much just make it everything back to OEM. Vroom, Z-Power. Just kidding, this thing has 0 power. Oh, it's cold, but it's kind of just a waiting game right now. I got to order my micrometers. I'm super sick and sad that I didn't have those for this video, because that would have made it that much sweeter, especially with the next video idea I have for you guys. We're actually going to finish our Frankenstein VG build where we make 1 engine out of 2. A lot of you guys don't know about that. That's one of our really old videos and series that we started quite a while ago. But now that we've been getting refreshed and reinvigorated with the car spirit, we're going for that very soon, and we're gonna just build this little Frankenstein block that we got. Next video, very excited, you guys. I'm super happy to be picking up the machinist tools again. Let's get to assembling engines. Let's get to pumping some stuff out. Let's build our own cars. Let's build our own projects, build our own engines. Let's do it all. I'm sold. I know there's a lot of risk in that game, but there's also going to be a lot of reward when it all works out. Next video, our 100th video. I'm super excited, you guys. You have no idea. I can't believe it's our 100th video. We're beginning our 600 horsepower twin turbo VG build, stock block, and we're ready to make some jam. So stay tuned, you guys. If you guys like the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe below. Stay tuned for more content, more videos, and we will catch you guys in the next one. And until then, peace.